yet, but okay, great.
Here we go. There you go. Yep.
There you are. Okay, wonderful.
Hi, everybody.
Wonderful. Okay, 7:03. I'm going to call the meeting to order. The first thing that I would like to do before beginning is to officially welcome our new interim superintendent, Christine Syriac, who's with us tonight. She started working last Monday, and believe it or not, she showed up again this Monday. She hit the ground running and hasn't stopped since she arrived. So welcome, Christine. We're happy to have you with us tonight and on board with us as our interim superintendent. I'd also like to take a moment and introduce to the community and welcome our new board member who replaces Steve Fleischman, who resigned from the board, Laura Ferrente Fernandez. Give a little wave. There's Laura. Laura comes with a background of years of experience in education, both as a teacher and as an administrator, and we're delighted to have her join our group with her wealth of experience. So welcome to you, Laura.
Thank you very much. I look forward to serving the community.
Thanks. Moving on to 1.3, correspondence. Megan, is there any correspondence beyond public comment?
All correspondence we received is public comment.
Thank you. All right. So now we will move to public comment. I will read the statement. The board welcomes public participation. We ask that speakers please limit their comments to 3 minutes. Please be aware that the board will not respond to any comments made during the public comment period except to clarify issues, but we will take into consideration your comments and when appropriate, direct the administration to follow up with you at a later point in time. So during the COVID-19 epidemic, we have asked as well for public comment to be sent via email. And the board is in receipt of public comment from Michelle Kubansky, from the Woodbridge Education Association, from Whitney Randall, from Robin Roll, from BJ Ahern, from Joanna Rodriguez, and a letter sent by Kate Oliver signed by 8 total individuals. So we are in receipt of that. That's in the CABE portal under public comment. Is there any other public comment this evening? I'm trying to see if we have anyone raising their hand. Carl, can you see anyone raising their hand? Because I can't see anything in the chat.
Cease Mechanics has her hand raised.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to remind everyone that because we have, in the last couple of meetings, had so much public comment, that the board is asking that you make sure that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. And I'm going to ask Dan if you would time our public comment this evening. Thank you. Nancy, go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. Dan, I'm going to go a little bit over. I apologize. I'll try my best. Good evening. My name is Good evening. My name is Nancy and I'm Vice President of the Woodbridge Education Association. I'm representing the many voices of the WA members who individually signed a comprehensive letter detailing concerns for safe return to Road School. I'm going to read an excerpt of this letter tonight. If you wish to see the letter in its entirety, It is posted on the CABE website. Dear members of the Woodbridge Board of Education, we write to you today as scared as we were when Governor Lamont first announced the decision that schools would return to in-person learning at full capacity. While we have received specifics from our administrative team on ways they will attempt to mitigate the risks, the truth has not changed. At Beecher Road School,
Our PTO mom lead of, yeah.
able to follow basic CDC guidelines outlined to keep us as safe as possible. Furthermore, we do not believe that we have the required staffing and resources to support a simultaneous in-school and remote learning track as currently proposed by the Board of Ed and our school leaders. Even if we have a portion of students receiving remote learning, it doesn't reduce the number of students in the classroom as we do not have additional faculty to accommodate for this model. If we open under the current plan, our school and greater community will be put at heightened risk. Another WA survey was conducted to capture teacher input and concerns regarding the reopening plan. The majority of the staff, 94%, responded to this survey and conveyed significant fear about returning to school. Consistent to the previous survey, 83% of the teachers have expressed not feeling safe to return to school. However, 57% of the faculty would be returning to teach because they are reliant on their salary and their benefits. Is that a school climate we want to be creating for our teachers and students? One that forces teachers into the building when they are feeling unsafe? While we all agreed that remote teaching is not ideal, a significant majority of the teachers, 97%, feel this modality will allow a more optimal method of engaging with students that does not negatively impact the health of students and teachers. The following are additional concerns we would like to make you aware of that were also captured in this survey. 97% of the teachers plan to return if the school year starts with distance learning, while only 57% of the teachers plan to return if the school year starts with in-person learning. 27% of our teachers plan to work remotely or request some type of leave during this global emergency, a pandemic. 64% of our teachers believe that they cannot meet the social, emotional, and academic needs of students with in-person model. 77% of our teachers feel they are currently better able to serve their students through distance learning. Teachers have additional concerns regarding social distancing, cohorting, safety precautions being put in place, and social emotional needs of the Beecher community. Specifics regarding these concerns are available in the letter on the CABE website. We respectfully request the following considerations to be addressed before school reopens in any capacity to ensure the safety of the faculty and students. Number one.
It's 3 minutes, please wrap up.
Start the year with full remote learning for at least the first 10 weeks, at which point we can properly and thoughtfully consider next steps. This will not only allow for a safer start for teachers, staff, and students, it's also in the best interest of public health. Number two, begin with delayed school start, ensure staff are given the necessary time to start the year off on the right foot. And number three, properly implement the CDC guidelines at Beecher Road School. As dedicated professionals, we ask that Woodbridge models leadership in our state by making the safest decision for families, students, teachers, and our entire community. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm going to ask that everyone just check and make sure that they are muted unless they are speaking. We're getting a lot of back noise. Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak this evening? Carl, do you see anyone else with their hand raised? I don't believe there are any other public comments at this time. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to item 2.1, consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Board members, do I have a motion?
We approve the consent agenda.
I second the motion.
Laura Fernandez moved to approve the consent agenda as presented. Dan Cowan seconded. All those in favor, you could say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Dan Cowan, aye.
Thank you.
Hernandez, aye.
I think we have everyone. Is there any board member who's voting against approval of the consent agenda? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We have a lot of back noise tonight. I'm sorry, people. Report. PTO update. Joy, do you have a PTO update this evening? You need to unmute, Joy.
Hello, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, Joy.
Okay. Let's see. So for a PTO update, at this time, it seems that there will not be any parent volunteers allowed in the building under the current plan. So we are not planning any special events. We usually have, for those of you who don't know, usually we spend about $16,000 a year and bring 2 special guests or events into school per grade level. So at this time, we're going to look for online virtual options, authors and musicians, and different types of curriculum enrichment. But ultimately, we really need to see what the school year looks like and how we can add and enhance the curriculum experience. So we're really waiting and seeing what is happening with school. We're going to take this time this year. We have a lot of new people joining the PTO, which is wonderful. And we're going to take time to just revisit our bylaws, come up with new and creative ways in this now our world with COVID to support our teachers and our students. We're going to focus on passive ways of fundraising, Amazon Smiles, and really just letting the parents and families know, when they spend at Stop and Shop or, Amazon, that there's ways to get money back into the school. Some of the teachers' grants were also on hold as we're waiting to see what the new parameters of either in-person or remote learning will look like and how those different teacher grants might be utilized. And last but not least, one of the ways, since we're all really trying to find ways to connect right now, once the school year is up and running, we typically have always had a charged a $10 fee for access to a directory. And when you go back to school this year, like any other year, you can either opt in or opt out to have your information added to the PTO directory. This year, we're waiving the fee. We're going to just offer that for free to all families so that they have ways of connecting with, their students, classmates, and other families in our BRS community. Other than that, everyone's well, and we're just kind of awaiting, like I said, to see what is the school year is going to look like and how the PTO can be part of that, as we go forward.
Joy, thank you so much. And thanks to the PTO for always supporting the school and for your very creative ways all the time, whether it's COVID or not. And your contributions to the school are really appreciated. So I thank you for that. And if you pass the word on to your group, we'd appreciate that as well. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next is the superintendent's report. So Christine, you're up.
Thank you, Lynn.
I just want to share with everyone that I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very happy to be part of the Woodbridge School District as you transition through not only a change in leadership, but also moving from a full remote to the opening of the schools, the reopening of the schools. I've only been here for a week, and as Lynn may have stated, I did return for a second week. And I spent the first week trying to learn as much as I possibly can in a short amount of time. And I really want to take a moment to thank Bob Gilbert for all his support and help, not only for last week, but for the weeks remaining until he's no longer, going to be there every day for me to lean on for support. It's been a very easy transition because of Bob's support. I've gone through transitions before in other districts, and I just feel very comfortable in our being able to talk back and forth with each other throughout this process. So I thank the board for providing us that opportunity to have an overlap. During the week that I've been here, I did also have the opportunity to have a Google Meet and at least introduce myself to the teachers and the staff, which was an opportunity that while in the past I may have done that in person, it was nice that I could at least reach out to them virtually and introduce myself and get to see some of their faces. I'm not used to the fact yet that when I look at this, I can't see everyone's face because some people aren't on the screen. I also sent a letter out to the community, introducing myself to the community. I have been taking the time to meet individually as well as collectively with the administrative team, trying to spend some one-on-one time with each of them over the course of the next week so that we can get to know each other a little bit better. I've also extended that invitation out to the board. If you want to spend some time one-on-one, I'd be happy to schedule that time with you as well. And many of you have already reached out, and we have that tentatively on our schedules. And I was also able to briefly attend a Board of Selectmen meeting the other night. I went along with Bob, and I had the opportunity to meet the first selectman and some of the other selectmen. I went on a tour downtown. I got to see along Meeting House Lane, I believe it's called. And I was in town hall, and I met some of the other people who work in town hall. So it's really been an extremely busy week. And it's been really a pleasure to be here and to get to start to know everyone in the process. The one thing that I did want to share with the Board of Education this evening is that the letter that we received on Friday from the teachers, I have scheduled time this week for the administrative team to meet with the executive board of the union to have a conversation in regard to the letter and to see what we can do to help resolve some of the current concerns they have and maybe clarify some of the information that was within that letter. So I will certainly be getting back to you, but I wanted you to know that we have a plan to meet this week to begin a discussion around that. And that's all I have for right now.
Thank you, Christine. Board members, any questions? Okay, I don't see any. We'll move on to the Beach Road School update. Lisa, hi.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all on my screen. Thank you for being with us tonight. I have just a really quick update. I know a number of you have been very curious about the survey that we sent out recently, asking parents to share with us some of their plans for the fall reopening. So in total, we got 808 responses. We had 73.6 of our parents report that they are returning to learning on site, and 26.4% report that they are not going to return to learning on site, that they would be choosing the remote learning option during the in-person learning model. So 73.6 are coming on site into the building and 26.4 are not. when we asked the question about the hybrid model, and the question was if Beecher Road School needs to transition into the hybrid learning model due to a moderate transmission risk factor, will you continue to send your child to in-person on-site learning on the alternating schedule described in our reopening plan? 91.2% of the parents responded with yes, and 8.8% of the parents responded with no. The parents that are letting us know that they are going to do remote learning, 94.8% of them are saying that they would definitely participate in that remote learning option. The remaining 5.2% are making other plans for their children, most of which are homeschooling. In terms of riding the bus, we have 67.1% of the kids saying that they will not be riding the bus. So 67.1% are not riding the bus. 32.9% are riding the bus. So 32% of our kids are riding the bus. The extended day question, we asked if people would be attending extended day in the morning, in the afternoon, both, or not at all. 80.1% of our families reported that they are not going to be utilizing extended day. We had 1.6% of our population saying that they would only use it in the morning, 13% that said that they would only use it in the afternoon, and 5.3% saying that they would be using it both morning and afternoon. As a result of this survey, we are actually, because we only had 808 responses and we do have more students than that, we are actually calling all of the families that did not reply. We had originally stated that if you don't reply, we will be assuming that you are returning to on-site learning, but we are calling those families to confirm that information and make sure that they are joining us in fact. We also are in the process of reviewing all of this data and sorting it by grade level and by classroom teachers to see the impact on our numbers. And then some other next steps that we're working on as we prepare for the start of the school year is finalizing our staff assignments. We are planning on making some videos that we are going to be sharing with our community, and especially with our littlest people who will be joining us for the first time. And in speaking of our littlest people, we are going to be holding a virtual kindergarten orientation, and we are going to be holding a practice bus ride as we traditionally do. It's going to look a little bit differently, and we're going to stagger the sessions with tremendous support from all of our bus drivers. We're very grateful to them because they are being incredibly flexible in this time, but we are going to still be able to give our littlest learners an opportunity to do their little practice bus ride that they do. And we are also continuing to finalize our PD, our professional development, at the start of the year. We have a very beautifully detailed plan that we are finalizing, and we'll be sharing that out with our teachers soon. And we are also working on our new teacher orientation to welcome all of our new teachers back into our building before the rest of the staff report. So that's where we are right now.
Lisa, thank you so much. We so appreciate the work that the administrative team is doing. I know you guys are doing a Herculean job, excuse me, and working 24/7 to make this all happen. And so your efforts are certainly appreciated by all of us. Are there any questions from any board members of Lisa? Joyce.
Yes, I would like to echo what Lynn said and just thank not only the administrators who are working 24/7, but in that group, there is also Stacy Katz, our school nurse, Vito Sparrow, the director of custodial services, Al Pulo, who is our business manager. And this group, regardless of what you think or what you feel about the reopening, there are emotions are riding very high across the spectrum. But I think the one thing that we can agree upon is that this group of people are working incredibly hard, trying their hardest to try to reopen as safely as possible and to pull it off. So I just want to thank this group for doing that. And sometimes I know with all the letters that are coming in, it's hard you lose sight of all of that. So I just, want to say we are deeply grateful to this group for really working very, very hard. I did have a question. for the admin team. It has to do about communication. I think you guys are doing a very good job with communication. But I did want to put out there a thought about, I guess it's two-way communication, right? So there's communication out to parents and then communication coming from parents. So in terms of information that's going out to parents, I wonder whether it would be fruitful to post the information that we have on the website in a very organized way. So right now, when I'm looking at the reopening page on our Beecher website, I see all the correspondence, but it's not easy to actually navigate and find the information that you're really looking for. Now, I know that you guys are just so overwhelmed with how much work you have to do in so little time. So I want to make sure that we're not overwhelming this group with a task that is too hard. But I just want to put the idea out there because I think it might be very helpful for parents to have information like, in the spirit of transparency, what kind of data are we looking at in order to make decisions, whether that be moving from one model to another model, or whether that be when we have a case, a positive case at school, what happens? What, you know, it could be as simple as including links to whatever sites that we are looking at, whether that be the CDC or the Quinnipiac Health Valley or whatever it is. I think that parents would want to know what information are we looking at to make our decisions. The group has done a lot of work on policies and protocols on things like masks.
I think we lost Joyce.
Oh,
Okay, Joyce, you're back.
oh, okay.
We
So
lost.
I was just, okay. So policies and protocols, maybe like the sample schedule that you had included for the 100% distance learning folks, but now that we have the opt-out families, like 25%, like what does their schedule look like day to day? Pick up and drop off procedures, social contracts, you know, so on and so forth. I just think parents might appreciate having a go-to page that they can find any sort of information that they might need. And then conversely, on the information going back from parents to the administrators, to the Board of Ed, to teachers, et cetera, if there could be some sort of mechanism, but again, we have to think about a way to do it so that it's not too onerous. But if there's a mechanism to allow people, parents, to ask questions, provide comments, voice concerns, with a caveat that the administrators cannot be answering every single note that comes in, but if you see patterns, maybe that would be a good idea to kind of look at it and see if there's an opportunity to adapt or maybe abandon if necessary. So again, my whole piece is about communication to and from parents.
Thank you, Joyce. Megan, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I don't think I have any.
Okay, thank you. Jeff Hughes, any questions or comments?
Nope, all set. Just thank you for the admin for the excellent work they're doing.
Thanks, Jeff. Jeff Townsend, questions or comments?
No comments at this time.
Mike Strambler?
No, I'd just like to reiterate what children communication, I think that's a very good idea, setting up some kind of process where that can happen. That or maybe I especially like the idea of addressing common themes that are coming up with regard to questions, sort of like a frequently asked questions page. I don't know if that exists already, but I think that would be something very useful for families.
So I do think that there was frequently asked questions that went out with the survey, if I'm correct. I'm looking for Lisa. Yes, she's shaking her head. Yes. So frequently asked questions did go out with the survey.
Yeah,
over a
I
week
guess that
ago.
those, yeah, I think that if there's an opportunity to revise and evolve that as questions are coming in, that would be helpful.
Okay, I see Lisa shaking her head, Mike. Great, thank you. Dan, questions or comments?
No, only that I'd like to offer my thanks to the administration as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Dan. David, any questions or comments?
Yeah, also big thanks to the administration for all the hard work. I know this is the beast. I did want to ask one question. It seemed that there was a lot of affect relating to the letter that was from the WEA, and including from the parents group, that it seems like a lot of people were really concerned by that. And I'm just curious if there were any aspects of that that you wanted to address at this point in time.
Christine, do you want to answer that?
So as I had mentioned, what I'd really like is for the opportunity to meet with the teachers at our scheduled meeting, and then I'd be more than happy to share some further information. I do think that there are areas where through conversation we can work together to try to find some ways to provide some more comfort to individuals.
Thank you, Christine. Anything else, David? All set?
That's
okay.
Fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura, any questions or comments?
No, I just want to thank the administration for their hard work, and also I appreciate the fact that you know they're going to be working with the superintendent, and hopefully they'll create a plan that will be the best plan for our children, our teachers, as well as our community and parents.
Thanks, Laura. My only comment is actually a request. So Lisa, since you gave all those survey results, you know, I did my best to write down, but I would like to just take a look at them, and I don't know if it's easy enough for you to send those out to the board members so that they can have them to, you know, study a little more. You know, I'm jotting these numbers, but I'm not even sure I got them right. So if that's not too much of a trouble, I think it would be helpful for the board to have those survey results to look at.
Sure thing. I'll coordinate that with Christine and Doreen and Cheryl, and we'll work on that.
Thanks. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. And I'm sorry to add more to your plate, but
that's actually an easy one, Lynn. No big deal.
Okay, great. Thanks. Appreciate that. All right, board members, anything else that hasn't been covered on Lisa's report or Christine's report? Thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Christine. We're up to 3.2.2, modify 2020-2021 calendar. Christine, do you want to make any comments about that before we have a motion, or do you want me to have the motion on the floor and then you comment?
I feel that the motion will be fine, but Bob is going to speak to the calendar.
Okay, Bob, would you like the motion first, or do you want to speak first?
Why don't you do the motion, and then I'll be glad to provide a few comments.
All right, so I'm going to make a motion. I move that we approve the revised 2020-2021 calendar as presented by the administration. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Bill Townsend raised his hand.
Okay.
Marcia. Okay, Bob, you're on.
Okay, thank you. First of all, we hope everybody has recovered from the storm, although I hear that some people still haven't gotten their internet back at home. So, but hopefully other things have fallen back in place. The storm had a dramatic impact on the school building. for power, internet, and even our backup generator. That impact even went further to our 12-month employees, administrators, and office staff in terms of their ability to get the work done. And so at the end of the day, every day counts this summer more than any other summer I've ever lived through in terms of opening school. And so at the end of the day, as you know, I communicated last week that we really needed to push the opening of school off in order to be successful and to be able to do that in a way that we want to honor safety and our students and our staff and our families. So with that being said, we pushed the entire calendar 5 days later. A teacher starting on the 28th of August instead of the 21st, and students coming in after Labor Day with Tuesday the 8th, students last names L through Z, Wednesday the 9th, A through K last names. That entire week being minimum days in order to allow a smooth transition in and time in the afternoon for staff to meet and to reflect and to be able to adjust, and then starting full days on September 14th. This calendar also includes moving the October conference days 1 week later. And it also, obviously, since we're starting 5 days later, it also includes the ending date, at least the tentative ending date right now of June 16th, barring any other weather or other types of unforeseen types of events. So we thank you in advance for your support of this, as we've discussed in previous meetings, and it's now for your vote.
Thanks, Bob. Board members, is there any discussion on the calendar? Seeing no hands raised.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm a bit concerned that we don't have enough time, even with the 5 days, to prepare for the opening. I just want to understand what the other options are for potentially giving us more time to prepare. What options on the table here to provide us more?
So I think I'm going to ask Christine. Christine, if you want to address that from a bigger picture. Although I will just quickly say, Mike, that it's interesting you bring that question up because, and this is just something that came hot off the presses today, CEA actually put out in their public relations this afternoon or this morning that they're advocating for a 2-week delay in all schools starting for a variety of reasons. So I just say that just from an interesting parallel to your question. And I think I want to defer to Christine because she's the superintendent right now, and in terms of the bigger picture of that.
So can I? Oh, sorry.
I would say that it was interesting today to see the request from in regards to the 2-week extension. And the thought, however, that comes to my mind in that is that currently all schools are not even starting on the same day. So really, what does that look like? Part of what they get into is September. Currently, we are at September 8th. It's certainly something as we move forward and we're thinking about whether or not we push that out even further, is just to know that those days will then get added, continue to be added towards the end of June, as well as if we get to a certain off of the April break. Because at this point in time, we still need to make sure that we have 177 student days in the calendar. So I wouldn't say that at this point in time, well, we're hoping that this is the final calendar that will move forward to the board next week. There's nothing to say that something might develop in the days.
I was having a little bit of trouble hearing the audio. I don't know if that was my computer or other people. I'm seeing other people nodding as well.
Yes.
I think what I heard you say, Christine, was that we would tack on some of those days to the end of the year, which I assumed would be the case. I'm not sure what the implications of that would be in terms of contracts with teachers and what kind of other implications we doing that may lead to. But it sounds like this is a possibility, if I heard you right. And if we were to vote on this today, let's say if we were to agree on the start date as proposed, I mean, we as a board reserve the right to extend that out again, right? I mean, that's a possibility, I assume. Am I correct? Am I correct in that?
So yes, you are correct in that. And at the last Board of Education meeting, the board had indicated that, you know, administration can move forward with that type of planning in regard to if adjustments need to be made to the calendar. And we can get that information out to parents as soon as possible, which is why currently you're approving something that we already shared with the parents. So I would certainly, are you able to hear me this time?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to keep on going for a half hour and then say couldn't hear me. So yes, the short answer will be yes. And I will keep the board informed if in the coming days and weeks as we're planning this, we were to determine we needed even additional time.
Okay.
So Bob, can I ask a question? So I too would support giving ourselves as much time as possible, but I thought that we have a bus contract that only allows for 5 extra days. So we would have to go back to the bus company, is that right? And maybe renegotiate if that's possible to extend.
So in moving this to this date of September 8th, we are in alignment in the contract with not incurring any extra costs for busing. There is a window, a broader window, which, as you described, really the negotiation. It's really not a negotiation. It's just simply if we exceed in that window from our sister district, Amity, beyond the 185, we would be just incurring additional costs per day in busing. That's a roughly $2,500 per day for us. If for each individual day we would exceed that, there may be some costs on our end also for Amity if they incurred the costs similarly, roughly a little less than $2,000 per day. We would hope that wouldn't happen, but that right now we're within the window and we're not incurring any extra costs. But that's how it would just be simply. The contract would simply be exercised in that manner, and we would just have to pay. We could certainly talk to them if there was another way to work through that, but it's written in the contract in that manner.
Any other questions? Are there any other questions about the calendar? Okay, I'm going to then call for a vote. Joyce? Yes. Joyce votes yes. Megan?
Yes.
Megan votes yes. Jeff Hughes?
Yes.
Jeff Townsend?
Yes.
Mike Strambler?
Yes.
Dan Cowan?
Yes.
Votes yes. David Ross?
Yes.
Votes yes. Laura?
Yes.
Lynn Piazza, yes. Motion carries unanimous. 3.3 on the agenda, upcoming meeting presentations, the wellness report. We've actually been putting this off for several months because we've had so much on our plate. I don't know if any board member has anything that they're looking for to see presented in the wellness report. That includes, I believe, Al, you can correct me if I'm wrong, or Bob, tools for schools, the wellness committee, and is that it?
Food services.
Services.
And
Thank
the
you.
work of the beautification committee is also usually included.
Thank you, Al. And beautification committee. Is there anything that a board member wants to see in that report, or any questions they want answered? Okay, Al and Lisa will look forward to that report next month. 3.4 Finance Committee. Joyce.
Okay, we are in the process of our year-end audit. We are on track to return to the town 104,000 of our surplus, which is a little bit more than about half. And for fiscal year 2021, we continue to purchase supplies. I don't know if we want to go, well, we can talk about the PPE purchases year to date are 70,000. And I won't go into the breakdown of how it's covered, but I think that's about it in terms of our financial update. We began in the Finance Committee to discuss cost sharing with Bethany and some revenue generating ideas as well. That's it.
Thank you, Joyce. And just for clarification, on the PPE costs, some are covered by grants, some were covered in 2020 surplus, and some are an expenditure for this year, just so people understand that. Are there any questions or comments for Joyce on the finance report? Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is CABE Liaison report. Megan, anything from CABE this month?
Yes. So two things I just wanted to mention. Well, again, reiterating, they have lots of resources on their website. But one thing, actually, I think Joyce inquiring about this previously, but CABE is finalizing a page on the CSD website, which will include links to all district plans to serve as a central repository for information for families, district stakeholders, and to share best practices, innovative approaches. So it's not posted yet, but they are working on it, and it should be live soon. I just wanted to mention that. And then one other thing that they were putting out there, although I'm assuming admin already knows this and has, or will know this soon, and is letting teachers know, but there's a free course being offered for all teachers in Connecticut through the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence, called Social and Emotional Learning in Times of Uncertainty and Stress, Research-Based Strategies. And the opening to that is August 25th at 4 p.m. That's a webinar, informational webinar to discuss how get more information on that. I thought that was a good resource that our teachers might.
Is that it, Meg? Because you were breaking up on my computer.
Yes, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. 4.1, we're on new business. 4.1, ratify the WASA contract. This is the contract for the administrators. Joyce, do you want to make a motion? Do you have it in front of you?
No, I do not. Sorry.
It's finance, so I was going to let you do that.
Oh, sorry, I don't have the.
Dan, do you have that motion? Go ahead. You're on mute, Dan.
All right. I move that we ratify the contract agreement with the Woodbridge Association of School Administrators effective July 1, 2021 through July 30th, 2024.
Do I have a second? Jeff Townsend seconded, Marcia. Are there any questions? Okay, we're going to take the vote. Joyce? Joyce votes in favor. Megan?
Yes.
Votes in favor. Jeff Hughes?
Yes.
Jeff Townsend?
Yes.
Mike Strambler?
Yes.
Dan Cowan?
Yes.
David Ross?
Yes.
Laura Fernandez?
Yes.
Lynn Piasek, yes, passes unanimously. Next, 4.2 on the agenda, certified staff leave request. Do I have a motion?
Actually, are we on new business? Like, if you want to raise a new business item, do we do it after this or before this?
We would have to vote to add it to the agenda, I believe. Is that correct, Marcia?
That would be correct and have an added item.
2/3 vote. That would be after agenda item 4.2, Dan. Certified staff leave request. Do I have a motion?
I have it right here.
Go ahead, Dan.
I move that we grant the child rearing leave of absence to Amanda Esparro for the 2020/21 school year.
Do I have a second? Jeff Towns seconded. Yeah, gotta be faster, Laura. Okay, Christine or Bob, do you have any comments that you want to make about that motion?
Sure. I'll just say that this is actually a contractual entitlement for someone who fits the criteria. And so this has been honored and granted in the past based upon the contract of the WEA. And so really it's a formality that the board has an opportunity to vote and agree to this.
Thank you. So we'll call the vote. Joyce Shavers votes yes. Megan Genovese? Can't hear you, Megan.
Yes.
Yes. Jeff Hughes?
Yes.
Jeff Townsend?
Yes.
Mike Strambler?
Yes.
Dan Cowan?
Yes.
David Ross?
Yes.
Laura Fernandez?
Yes.
Lynn Piasek, yes, unanimously passes. And congratulations to Amanda and Vito Esparro on the birth and child rearing of their first child. So we're very happy for both of them. Okay, Dan, do you have an agenda item you want added or on other?
So it's more of a question. So last time we passed some policies, they went on a 30-day review. And my question is, if we still have concerns about them being redundant, do I just voice them now? Like, how do we actually, like, why do we have 30-day review policies? Maybe Marcia or Superintendent Syriac can tell me, like, why do we have 30-day review and what use is there to it?
The 30-day review is by statute, and we adhere to statute.
So is the purpose of the 30-day review so that we can, like, so people can voice concern to it and then it just ratifies automatically? Or does the voicing of concern allow people to then choose to re-vote on it, or?
It comes back to the board once that 30-day review has passed. The board actually has to act to adopt each one of those policies.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all that I have for new business then.
Yeah, I believe you can, when each policy is looked at, I believe you can speak at that time on it, Dan, if you have something you want to add. Is that correct, Marcia?
Yes, that is correct. They're voted independent of each other, or the motion can put them together. Generally, the board and the has chosen to act on them individually.
Okay, great. Thank you. We're on other. I have an other. I'm thinking that this might be the last board meeting that we have prior to Superintendent Gilbert's official retirement. And unless we have a special meeting, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for years of service to the district and the accomplishments that you brought to Beecher Road School. You will certainly be missed by many of us, and I know the kids will miss you and the teachers will miss you, and we appreciate all of your hard work and everything that you did in your 4 years with us. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I can say that it's been a tremendous experience to be here for the last 4 years and working with the Woodbridge, alongside the Woodbridge administrators, teachers, and parents and town. It's a terrific town, a terrific school, tremendous talent and commitment. And I will just say that I will cherish these 4 years for sure. I have to say that the last 3 or 4 or 5 months of my career have to be considered the hardest, I would say. But I think that every educator right now is saying that these have been the hardest 5 months of their careers. So, but at any rate, thank you very much. And it's a pleasure.
Thanks again, Bob. Christine, it's been noted that there's many comments on the chat about the concerns of the teachers. I just want to reiterate, and you can jump in if you want to, that you will be meeting with the leadership of the Teachers Association this week, and you'll be sharing information with the board regarding that meeting. Is there anything else that you want to add to that?
No, I think that sums it up. We received the letter on Friday. We thought about it over the weekend. There are some things that I would like the opportunity to discuss with the union leadership, and then I will get that information back to the Board of Education. I believe that, you know, this merits more than just simply responding to a letter. I think it's very important to sit down and have a conversation. Well, okay, I think we'll be sitting down, the conversation will be virtual, but I think it merits having a conversation prior to any kind of written response.
Thanks for that. We're on 5.1, public comment. So I'm going to try and figure out if additional public comment. Joy Prudhomme would like to speak.
Thank you. I've been very vocal in meetings and correspondence with administration that we should be meeting in person. You know, the fact that we're meeting like this, it's just a few weeks before we're going to do this experiment of in-person learning with easily 800 people in the building is absurd to me. I've recommended to more than one board member on more than one occasion that we really should be inviting the parents and teachers and all of us, you know, the board members, everybody. We should be doing something of a trial run in the school, masks, go into a classroom, sit at the desk, see how what's it going to look like? how is it going to be set up? I can guarantee you, having been a full-time volunteer for the last 5 years in that school, it isn't going to look remotely like it ever has. And parents deserve to see what they're signing up for. I think it's really interesting that this letter came out, and I literally shared it with probably only half of the parents because it was just on the PTO Facebook page, and you're getting many comments, letters due to that, and parents that are contacting me saying, "Thank you for sharing that, Joy, because if I hadn't seen that, I would have sent my child to school. This isn't what I thought I was signing up for." So, it's been really difficult to communicate. I know these meetings are better attended than they've ever been, but I still think it's really hard for any of us to imagine something that's never, ever been done before. I mean, we talk about buses, and yeah, no one wants to take the bus now. Great. So we're going to pay all this money and have empty buses. But what's going to happen is we're going to have this traffic jam situation in our traffic lightless town that I can't even comprehend what that's going to look like with all these parents dropping off their children. I just think there's a lot of things we haven't thought through. As a mom who is, planning on keeping her daughter home, not necessarily because I'm worried about the spread, but I'm worried about the psychological impact this is going to have on my child. I'm going to try not to get emotional here because it is an emotional situation, but the fact that I'm not even going to be allowed to walk the halls of a school that I spent days, months, years in volunteering makes my stomach turn. And I know just trying to imagine what it's going to look like is terrifying. I can't imagine a kindergartner being introduced to their school like this. It's going to be cold. It's going to be just something out of this world. So that, coupled with the fact that your teachers have told you, they've been very vocal about how they don't feel comfortable coming back. And we continue to push this 5-day-a-week model full time. It's just crazy to me. I'm a business owner. My husband and I own hair salons, and we are struggling because the governor won't let us be open past the 50% capacity that we were allowed to open on phase 1. Okay. We can have maybe 10 or 12 people in our shops at a time. These are adults. They're together for maybe a half an hour for a service, and they're masks. Everybody's masked. And now we're talking about putting, nearly 1,000 people in that school building for 5 days a week, 6+ hours a day. None of this makes sense. I appreciate, the time to be able to say this, but I really would hope that these teachers will be listened to. They're the ones that are going to make this happen. And I can't express that enough, that we really need to listen to our teachers right now. And if they feel more comfortable delivering this remotely, then I think you really need to listen to that. The last thing I do want to say is, because I am, opting for the remote option, and I appreciate that I'm even allowed to have that opportunity, is that I'm very disappointed on what that even looks like. It just almost feels like it's an afterthought. So anyway, we're running out of time, and I appreciate your time tonight, and I really hope that we can make some progress with this, and that you'll rethink what the current plan is. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. Are there any other? Kathy?
Yes.
Zadrowski, see your hand?
Yes. Hi, I represent the teachers union, the WEA, And we understand that we have some teachers that have shared letters with administration regarding some leaves. Just want to make sure if the Board of Ed has been aware of this. That's the first part. And the second part is when we do go in person or hybrid, teachers have requested that the school provide masks, the disposable masks. We want to be able to go in there, use a mask, discard it, and it's over with. Bringing in our own masks, yes, they look nice, they're personable, but then we have to go home and wash them. So one of the things that we are requesting is that they do provide masks for us. It is being funded by the state. So I'm not sure why we're not getting them on a daily basis. So those are my 2 comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Christine, do you have any response that you want to make to either of those public comments?
The one thing that I think I can't clarify right now is that masks are going to be provided for those who request masks. We also have left it open that if people wanted to provide their own mask, they certainly have that flexibility. So any person who would like us to provide them with masks, we will have the masks available and that will happen.
Thank you. Okay. Any other public comment? Carl, I don't see any hands raised.
Chris Edwards.
It was Chris Edwards wants to say something.
Thank you. Chris Edwards.
Hi, good evening. And I just first want to say thank you again to Superintendent Gilbert. He provided such a warm welcome to our family about 2.5 years ago. And he's just been such an active, visible member and leader of this community. So I just wish him really well. I know that everyone is very familiar and has seen Joy speak so many times. And so I just wanted to, my name is on one of the letters that has been written in support of teachers. I, at this point, have indicated that I would be sending my son back to school, but I am very concerned that we have not heard much about why the hybrid model has not been addressed. Just simply to start the year with half of the children in the school building to learn routines in potentially a safer environment that is just maybe more controllable, feels better for the teachers while teaching the new routines and new protocols and figuring things out without the stress of 70% of students in classrooms. I do feel very concerned when I hear that we are just going to go with the minimum 4 feet distance, certainly, but it's, there's so many more concerns, that are part of that letter and have been asked about by many parents, even, well beyond this letter. Or way back before this letter, that I just feel haven't really been addressed, but especially just, why we haven't heard much about the consideration of opening in a hybrid model and then deciding to phase either to distance learning or a full return. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan, do you see any other hands raised? Because
I do not see any other hands.
I do not either. If there's someone who wishes to speak, if you could put it in chat. Wait just one moment.
There's a hand from Corvino.
Yep. Corvino?
Corvino, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Could you identify yourself, your first name and your last name, please?
Sure. My first name is Nancy, last name is Corvino. And it's my first time joining one of these, and I truly respect, want to thank everyone for all the hard work that they're doing to try to get our children back and the education they need and deserve. I'm one of the families that is really in support with the idea of this educational model being in person. We represent one of many families that are in support of this. From our perspective, the spring session was not as beneficial as it could be from an educational standpoint. While our children completed and handed in the assignments that they were given, there was little to no educational feedback with those, and learning and explanation of posted lessons required significant parental involvement due to the lack of interaction available between the teachers and students. This is something that we would have received in the classroom for them. In addition, for our family personally, one of our children was to be scheduled for an IEP assessment just prior to COVID, and that did not and has not occurred, and there has not been any follow-up with us since then. So we're a little concerned that that lack of communication and potential ball dropping could occur again, and we're a little concerned about that with these virtual or hybrid models. We've also heard from other families that are concerned about regression that will occur if our children are left home alone during this time. Many of us have essential jobs requiring us to be at work, and it is not feasible for us to continue to be at home during the day to assist in this virtual or hybrid model. Especially if we're looking at 10 more weeks, this could be catastrophic for many of our children, leaving them without that required parental involvement that was needed in the spring sessions. Also, as someone in the healthcare field that has had to go to work, we have seen that going to work every day with a mask has had a good benefit and has been effective with that mask use for us and for our families. We also have looked into virtual and hybrid treatment sessions, but we found that the true benefit for our patients has really been in person, and that wasn't a real substitute for those virtual and hybrid learning. We know that it takes a village, and we believe, and we all want the best for our children, the safest for our community and this village. And we feel that right now, with the current state of Connecticut, with the current data and the infection rates being so low, that it could be a safe environment to bring back our children in person to provide that education that they truly need and deserve. So just one person's opinion, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for the time. I hope that was under 3 minutes.
I would have let you know if it wasn't.
Thank you, Dan. And thank you for your comments. Anyone else raising a hand?
I see no additional hands.
Nicole
Chick
Chick.
would like to speak.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me, see me? Okay. My name is Nicole Chick. I live at 38 Deer Run Road. I have made many public comments this summer, but since this is the last regular Board of Ed meeting before the first day of school, I felt very inclined to speak again. This last public comment comes to you after an unrecognizable summer filled with worry, stress, and hope for a safe return back to school. Teachers are innovative and adaptable. I have changed many aspects of my pedagogy over the years to better meet the needs of my students academically as well as emotionally. Sorry, I left my spot. However, adapting all I know about my profession during a global pandemic just so students can physically be in a room together is irresponsible to myself, the students, and families. I will be in a constant state of anxiety about getting sick just to enforce mask wearing, policing bodies, and monitoring hand washing. I am grieving over how incredibly different my kindergarten classroom will look and feel. I'm grieving over my own children that they will not have the last year in MAG the way they envisioned it. We are all grieving over so many things. I know there are no easy answers. However, it is safest for teachers' health and the public health for us to start the school year remotely in order to better plan for distance learning and to plan for a truly safe return to our building. I implore every stakeholder to advocate for this plan. There are too many what ifs and how will this work in a full reopening plan, especially in a building as big as ours with a very large population. Teachers can do amazing things remotely if we are given the opportunity to research and plan. Please let us do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. I'll ask one more time, public comment.
I see no, oh, what does this say? I see no public comment.
Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Laura Ferrantes made the motion. I have a second. Board, I'm looking for a second. David Ross is waving at me. David Ross seconds the motion. Is there any board member who opposes the adjournment? Please speak up so I won't call the roll. Hearing none, we'll adjourn at 8:19. I thank all of you for your time this evening, for participating. Have a good night.